everybody, and welcome to the show. We are broadcasting live on the United Public Radio Network, the UFO Paranormal Radio Network, 105.3 FM on the Gulf Coast and 107.7 FM in New Orleans. We're also broadcasting live on social media. This show is brought to you by the Experiencer Support Association. I'm your host, Ryan Stacey, and I'm a licensed private investigator. Say that again. As a director of investigations for the Experiencer Support Association, I use my investigative skills to dive headfirst into the hidden mysteries of UFOs, paranormal activity, and the consciousness phenomena. Thank you for tuning in. Hello, Lisa. Good to see you. Thanks for saying hello. She says hello, Ryan, and everybody in the chat. If you guys are in here, I see there's a few of you live. Please comment. Let me know you're here, where you're from. I will address all comments when they come up here. So I'm going to start with the Tessa News. If there's any, who gave me a like here? Arnold Luckcock. I don't know how to say that. I hope I said it right, so I don't get in trouble here. So thank you for liking. I see you there. Comment if you can. So Tessa News. Let's go.
Tessa News and updates.
All right, so there's not too much to update today. Still working with Amazon for the rebrand of my Canadian current event surveys, so I can finish my 2022-23 reports, since I have the declassified documents of that. Still no evidence of UFOs and anything that, blah, blah, blah. The Sky Canada project, for those who are following that, has been moved to fall. It is not going to be released in July. I'm not quite sure of the delay, but that's the latest news that we have on that. Experiencers Anonymous will happen at the end of the month of August. So that is in the works. I just got to build the platform for that. So stay tuned for that. And of course, we have Danny Whitson tomorrow with his podcast or our Tessa podcast, Beyond the Tinfoil Hat. And his guest is Carolina something. I don't know how to pronounce her last name. But the topics are medium, hearing spirits, and grounded life. So make sure you tune in tomorrow at 6 p.m. Eastern time, exactly where you are, unless you're on my page. If you're not on my page, it'll be on the Tessa's page. Make sure you follow that too. And I think that's pretty well it. Did I leave anything else, Lisa, or anybody in the comments? Let me know. So here we are. Today, we're talking about the military police report of Canadian Forces North Bay. This is a big one. And yes, so this is Carolina, I'm going to say Uterez. I'm sorry, I'm pronouncing that wrong. I cannot do that right. No new articles on the account that I've been busy. I've had some contractors here at my house that did turned a 3-day job into a very long job, and I had to deal with all that. But, all right, so for those of you new tuning in, to get to the visual evidence database, you go to investigations on our website, and you click on the visual evidence database. We're going to pick up where we left off and see what else we can do here. All right, so just going to uncheck these for you. Pyramids. Okay. So I'm just going to zoom in. I think we're still in Ontario. Last week's episode, we talked about the black-eyed children. We got into some history on that. Quite an interesting episode if you missed that. Yeah, this is the Canadian Forces military one, and we did these two beings observed last week. So if you guys are interested in black-eyed children, please check out last week's episode. And I'm going to try and stay within the wheelhouse of aerial activity. I think there's another one here that we could talk about if there's time. So this one, declassified military report, intense light at Canadian Forces Base, North Bay, September 14th, 2007. So click Learn More, and you are going to have the page for that. But first, we need to segue into aerial activity.
Aerial activity, sensory display.
All right, for those of you that are new to the channel, aerial activity is the category that I put in all phenomenons that are in the sky. You can call them UFOs, you can call them UAPs, you can call them whatever you want. I call it aerial activity until we can identify what these are, lights or machines. This particular one is an interesting case because it also led me to North Bay. I did a film project on it, which I'm going to talk about afterwards too. And I almost got arrested by military police. Yep, military police. So if you guys watch that opener and that closer, that little shot there where you see me talking to the military police there, this is around this document. Okay. I'll explain that story when we get there. So the document itself, for those who haven't seen this, this is what a military police officer would fill out. The event is from 2007, and this is I think this is the first declassified document other than what Canada has released on its own that I've talked about on this program. So we got street check, hard copy, field interview, hard copy. All this stuff is all here, and then I've transcribed it below. Okay. So I'm going to zoom in here and read this for those who are on the audio version, also known as radio. And let's get this going here. So military, let me see here, premises. So room 200 in the DLP building located at 15 Uxbridge Drive in Hornell Heights, Ontario. There's a phone number there, particulars. So military police contact with the phone number. I've traced that phone number. It's not in service anymore. Security, yes. Alarm company, 22p. Sorry, I haven't looked at this one in a while. Author is redacted. Okay, so Friday, September 14th, 2007 at 06:14. The report says at 05:21 hours, 14 September 07, while proceeding to Building 5, Manston Crescent, 22 Wing, Master Corporal redacted observed an intense light over the base and reported it to warrant officer redacted, MCC by duty cell phone. MWO redacted stayed in contact with Master Corporal redacted and confirmed from staff of 21 Squadron who were sent outside and also observed the intense light. I forget what MWO is. I haven't been in the Army for a while. At 05:25 hours, 14 September 07, redacted approached Master Corporal redacted and also saw the phenomenon and could not explain it as well. Redacted reported that the object did not show on any scopes and it appeared to be moving at a very low rate. Redacted declined to classify the occurrence and stated that the report has been generated. MPP staff included Master Corporal redacted, Commodore, I believe, and redacted also observed the object. The phenomenon has been recorded by video and digital camera. I have requested that video and image. They apparently do not have it anymore, allegedly. Author redacted. The following military police personnel participated in this investigation. List the MP personnel particulars in the following order: service number, rank, surname, initials, unit, badge number, etc. So Master Corporal is redacted, but I have their badge numbers. So that's information you can figure out later on if you want to know who they are. Both members of the MP Flight 22 Wing. Narrative field inquiries. Redacted also observed the bright light. However, the distance was indeterminable. However, appeared very far away and there was no sound. Noted the light appeared to move very slowly upwards, westward at daylight. The light faded within the rising sun. So I don't have any of these stats because this isn't a experiencer report. This is actually a declassified document. So if we were to explore the map in the area that this has happened, so let me just zoom out here, and I can talk a little bit more about how I almost got arrested. So I'm going to zoom in here. So this is Canadian Forces North Bay. All right. I believe I could put the mines on now. Government buildings. Have I done any of these for this yet? No, not yet. Nothing pops up. Okay, sorry. So this particular sighting has taken place in this particular building right here on the screen that you're looking at. So I'll zoom in here. That's why the dot is there. This building is where they saw it above. Everything took place kind of where my cursor is here in this area as well. And over here is a gate and a fence, because everything beyond that fence is restricted. So this is a restricted area of the base. For those of you who have been on this base, you know that it is open. Some of it is open to the public. You got the Canex station. You got a whole bunch of other things out there as well that you can check out. And also, if you are a member and whatnot, then you have access to certain things in the upper areas here. But for the most part, this radar section is closed off and restricted. So the scenario is basically I drive up to North Bay and I want to investigate and look around and try and find out exactly where this was. So I didn't realize that this building was behind the gate until I got to said gate. And then when I got to said gate, I started filming because I didn't see any signs that says you couldn't film. And shortly after that, I was greeted by military police. And my wife, of course, was losing her mind because she thought I was going to be arrested. I explained to them why I was there, identified myself, talked about my previous service, talked about my background in private investigations, and I showed them this document while I was detained. So I was detained because I wasn't able to film. Even though the sign didn't say I couldn't do that, I did end up eventually deleting the video for the military police if they agreed to do an interview with me. And they did. Okay. So before I get into that part, let me just kind of explain it without the military buzz. Because what makes this case kind of significant is the fact that it is a military sighting. It was on a military base, and it was reported by military police. And not only one witness, 3 witnesses. So that is very significant. So if I were to look at my evidence rating scale here on the ultra spectrum classification system, don't forget to comment if you're here. Nicole Fox, I see you like. Thank you so much. There's still a few of you unaccounted for. Say something. Let me know you're here. Don't be a creep. What was I going to say here? Oh, yeah. So on the ultra spectrum classification system, if we were to look at that report, we're landing somewhere in the, I would say close experience, less than 100, more than 100, but less than 500 feet. It would be uninvited. So subclass would be B. Evidence type, well, we have 3 witnesses. I have analogical memory. Let me see here. I have documentary. So this would bring it up to a level 3, technically. However, I did not speak to the actual witnesses. So in order for me to get, so I can assume that, we have sight here for level 1, and we obviously could get some analogical evidence or some documentary, so video and photos exist, but I wasn't able to retrieve that. So if they still exist, then that would bring it to level 2. And because I actually have the document, it brings me to level 3. And because this particular case has 2 to 3 witnesses, this is actually a level 4. Okay. In terms of evidence, I just have a document. So according to my scale here, we have one of the above in government documentation. So this is greater, but I don't have any of these drawings. So this is one of those like iffy ones where you can kind of skip the bar. But anyways, this is a level 7 in terms of evidence because we have government documentation. Okay. If I had those pictures and the video, then that would be the best. And that's probably why they're not releasing it to me. Okay. Then we get into the category type. So we're in sensory display right now, aerial activity. Based on the way it was described, I'm going to call it a light because of how they explained it here. Saw the phenomenon, could not explain it as well. Stayed in contact. Yeah, an intense light over the base and reported it. So there was no indication in this particular document that suggested it was a machine. So it would be classified as a light. Now, that does not mean that this light is not attached to a machine. It's just this particular instance, only the light was visible. And then obviously you would want to categorize that as whatever you want. So your archetype could be UAP, could be UFO, could be drone, could be military craft, could be an orb, it could be any of those things. But it definitely wasn't something that was on the base because they would have been able to identify it at that time. Akudo Oriaku says hi on Facebook. Hello, thank you for tuning in. Thank you. So that's where we're at with that. That's particularly this case. Now, if you go over to our YouTube channel, and I'll just put this in here in the comments here. There is a playlist called Citizen Paranormal Report. These are when I had time, before I had a kid, where I was able to go out and actually film some things that I observed and get to know the area, do some active investigations. But it's member-only content. So if you become a member, you can see this video. And I'm just going to try and quickly see if I can get in on the back end so I can show you guys a preview of what this looks like. I do want to talk about some things here, so just give me a second here. I just got to sign into on my other browser here. Any other comments? Let me know. I got to keep talking because there's radio. Let me see here, playlists. So I'll go to my channel. Yeah, so in here, I can probably see the playlist and probably sample the video. Yeah, okay. So, I don't know if you can really hear, but essentially at the beginning here, I'm on the Ottawa River. I'm talking about a few other things while I was up north. That channel leads directly to North Bay and all that other stuff. I did some hiking, went, checked out the water, did some fishing. That's on there too. Let me see. Well, there's Jimmy. He's passed away. This guy here. Good guy. Of course, I caught something. Where was it? Anyways. So then we did some tours and whatnot around the area. Oh, yeah, here it is here. So then when we finally got to North Bay, probably going to put this on my Patreon. I should give these all to my Patreon members. So if you haven't joined my Patreon page, I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna make a note here. CPR on Patreon. Why not? Patreon members, you guys are paid members. You can get that too. The reason why these are behind a paywall is because this is just me having fun and doing some entertainment around the subject, but it's also being taken seriously. So let me just try and show you quick little visuals here. I don't know if you can hear the audio. Just in case you can. So this is driving up on the base there. And then I get detained to see that actually at least right here. Got the music playing for those on radio if you can't hear it. Alright, I don't know if you guys can hear it. So here it is here. So this is the video, one of the videos I still had left. And I kind of slowed it down a little bit here. That's when I almost got arrested there. It's kind of like a shit my pants kind of, well, pooped my pants. Pardon me, radio. I am so sorry. But this was a situation, that I had to deal with. These guys were nice. These officers were good. I put them on the spot. They had to check everything out, of course, to make sure, I wasn't doing anything wrong. And then that video that I had of that restricted area, which is behind them, I did delete that in exchange for them to be on this video. And, they were able to confirm that this was one of the documents that they still use, like this format and whatnot that we talked about. And they were surprised on how I got it. I explained to them how I got it, all that stuff. Oh, I lost my page. And we had a nice little conversation. And of course, in this, he detains me. I put the phone down. We have a conversation. I asked the guy about UFOs and things like that. So there's a little bit of an interview here that you can have. And then, of course, afterwards, I tell you not to do that because there's a lot of risk there. And then at the end, we do a little bit of a tour of the tunnel. So this is an underground tunnel in NORAD. So you can check that out on the video there. I'm not going to play that here, but that is essentially this case. Now, this case is kind of huge. It's still open. It's one of my favorite cases because it brought me all the way up to North Bay. I was able to actually go to these people and talk to them. I wasn't allowed to necessarily do certain things, but I did some drawing. So this case is part of a long featured book that I am working on as well. So you're going to learn more about that. All right. So I'm going to move on to another case. In case you guys are interested, but since I plugged my Patreon report, let me just say that again here. So patreon.com, Heed the World. I'm going to put these videos on there for my Patreon. If you guys want to join the Tessa membership, you can get that too, but the Patreon is for my people and those who support my work as well as Tessa's work, of course. Lisa, I think I saw a comment from you. Let me... I think I saw a comment. Oh, Akudo says, I'm new here. Well, welcome. You're amongst friends. Lisa says, I remember watching that a while ago. I know I couldn't do anything like that. Well, at least they weren't too hard on you. Well, they could have been hard on me, Lisa. They could have been. My mouse is being silly. Come on. I don't know why my mouse is being... I can't click anything. Stupid thing. Anyways, so at least they weren't too hard on you. They could have been. I could have been arrested. I don't recommend doing that. But because the fact that I recorded a restricted airspace, I got their attention. I knew that there was a camera there. I pulled them out on purpose because I wanted to have a conversation with them. Could have went to the office and asked, but like I said, the sign did not have anything that said it couldn't videotape or record. So then when I brought that to their attention, that's kind of where we're at. And then we talked about it. I checked out and then everything was fine. Now, if I didn't have the credentials, if I didn't have this report and I started filming the way that I did, I could have been arrested immediately. I still could if I go back and do that. It's not something you want to do. It's just a bit of a ballsy situation that I was willing to try because I knew that I had the supporting information to get me out of it if things got hairy. I was willing to be cuffed in order to get interviewed, in that situation. My wife, not so happy about that. Of course, I didn't tell her that was something I was willing to account for. And we had quite the interesting conversation afterwards. But again, don't recommend it. Those are good times, though. I'd love to do something like that again. Hopefully, now I have some friends at the military base that I might be able to reach out to and do that again. Or they've just learned to cover up their tracks a little bit more and not put that more information in the reports, which is what I'm seeing. Now that I'm bringing more information to everybody's attention, I'm finding in our Arcador reports and all that other stuff, more specific stuff that say it's a balloon. This mouse really sucks, and it's making me angry. I am so sorry, and I'm trying hard not to flip out on live screen here. But once again, my mouse has failed me. Stupid thing. I don't know why. Anyways, join my Patreon so I can afford to buy a new mouse. All right? There's a little plug there. I don't know what's going on here. Stupid mouse, man. Sorry, guys. Bear with me. Radio, this is going to suck for you. I apologize. Okay, so let's move back into our cases. We're still in. We are still in aerial activity. Yes, we are. So over here is a civilian case, UPR 2020-013. So we're going to talk more about that. And this database I find is very interesting. Now, as I zoom out, these are different cases, but they're in close proximity. This is why the ultra spectrum, why you must investigate every single phenomenon, separate them, and then put them together. The beings observed, are they related to this light? I don't know, because it's a different time, but it's in a geographical area, right? That is very quote and similar. This particular one we're going to talk to, is close to these black-eyed children, which we discussed it last week, and not too far away from the military base. So it's a good coincidence. However, this case happened in 1981. This military report happened in 2007. So there is still time that is also getting in the way. So when you're looking at the proximity map, remember to check the timeline, which you can also get on the investigation page. So this documented event timeline, make sure you're aware of that. Okay. So this particular case is labeled, UPR 2020-0013. So that's the Ultra Spectrum Paranormal Report. It's been categorized as a sensory display, aerial activity, and light. Espanola, Ontario, Canada, July 14th, 1981. So this video here, I'm just going to comment as we go through. I'm not sure if the audio comes in or not. All right, so this is the witness drawing. It's been recreated to convey the event. On July 14th, 1981, in Espanola, Ontario, Canada, a witness has observed a very large orb move across the sky while laying on the grass near a baseball field. All right, so that's a baseball field down there. And this is the size of the object, and that's the trajectory in which it allegedly was moved, okay? Or it moved. I'm not sure. Did I do this one before? I don't know. Can't remember. The second orb appeared and met with the other. So here's the second orb, and that's the trajectory that it moved to connect to the other one. You'll see that in the drawing here. And then, what do we have here? The objects then darted together before disappearing. And I think we draw that as well. Yeah, so then they took off. So there's, again, daytime sighting. We got two lights in the sky that seem to be moving around to each other. So if you've seen something like that, please make a report. Remember, go to experiencesupport.org and click the submit a report button here, this purple button, make your reports, okay? Because I need more cases to talk about on here, okay? I'm going to be eventually running out of cases. I was standing at this, so here's the witness statement that came in February 26, 2020. So that's, a good chunk of time between the event and now, but better late than never. I was standing at this point for a period of 20 to 30 seconds, and I could hear a faint pulsating or humming noise. And as I looked over my shoulder facing north, the second ball of light, orb, if you will, appeared and slowly hovered back to where the first one was. It was like one stopped and the other kept going. Once the second one realized the first stopped, it came back. And then they did approximately 2 or 3 circles around each other, and in a blink of an eye darted in the southwest direction. When you have a clear view of the sky with minimal clouds and something that can move out of sight, that fast is impossible. I'm thinking around 3 to 4 miles within 2 seconds. So, for context, this particular experiencer is an engineer. I know that. So this is some expert talk here, but they weren't an engineer at the time of the sighting. This is a sighting when he was 11 years old. All right, but before we get into the system data stats, just want to break this down. So he was standing at this point for 20 to 30 seconds, 11 years old. Okay. Cloud here, faint pulsing and humming noise. So it could be a machine because he heard something. Could be a drone. Who knows? I don't think drones existed back in 1981. Maybe we can fact check that. What year did the first drone get created in military? Let's assume military, not public, right? No, March 1917. So it is possible that is a drone. Interesting. And then the second ball of light. So these could be two objects. Okay, they could be, or they could be the same object with one of the lights oscillating. We don't know. Moving slowly, so there's some distance perhaps, or I can't really say for sure. That's speculation. And then the movement. So 2 to 3 circles around. So I mean that fits a characteristic of a drone. And then in a blink of an eye, it darted in the southwest direction. So if it was sitting there taking some pictures and then it left, this does sound like a drone. It's possible to be a drone. However, this is what the witness saw. So the witness drew this object. That doesn't really look like a drone to me, especially in the daytime. If this was at night, maybe. But this is weird. This is odd to me. All right. So now we're looking at, so this experiential report is new. We've added it to the record. Didn't want any investigation other than the normal questions. This person is male. Blood type is AB positive. That's one of the signature experiential things as well. So this kid could have seen this in their mind as well. Fits the criteria for psychogenics. Hazel is the eye color, 11 years old, little older, but still a child nonetheless, but making a report as an adult, so that lends some credibility. Number of witnesses was 1, felt positive, no injuries. A lot of time in between, so 1981 to 2020, that's at least close to 40 years, I think, yeah. 2 p.m. was just, I think that's approximate time. Duration was 1 minute. Time of day was obviously daytime. It's an isolated event. One object was seen. At first, person has not previously reported, and the evidence type is analogical, which means drawing. So the evidence rating is 3, which I believe makes it fair. Let's go back to our system here. Yeah, drawing only. And then sensory display, aerial activity, type 2, which is light. Archetype is UAP, unidentified aerial phenomena. Disposition is unidentified. Don't know what it is, not enough data to identify it, but there is enough data to conclude that there is an object. There may have been an object in the sky. This is a close experience, so within the 100 and 500 feet range. It was uninvited, which means that this particular experiencer did not do any meditative things to call this, and the evidence level is 2. So that for us, in terms of evidence level, is analogical. So it didn't go beyond that. There's no documents, there's no witnesses, there's no back and forth communication. So level 2 is the best evidence that I will use for that. Okay, so it's in the aerial activity, light, sensory display, ultraspectrum, all that stuff is there. This particular ID for the experiencer has not changed. I think there's only one case for this person. So anyways, let me know in the comments what you think that is. If you've seen it, if you're new to this and you've seen something like that, please make a report. And let me just see what's next in queue for our, let's see what's next in queue here. Since we have some time, let's see if I can get another. So we've done that one, done those 2. Now we're kind of getting down into here. What were these ones? Oh, right, those high altitude balloons. The Yukon object is a balloon. Yeah, remember those. So let's talk about that. I have to update the system because I've since identified these objects. So for those of you that remember, the Yukon object is a balloon. This is where it had happened. So this is just the evidence to support that. This is what the general had said. So let me just recap. We're now going back to last year, I believe. Recent events have underscored an importance of our binational NORAD command in keeping Canadians and Americans safe. Simply put, our response to these unprecedented events unfolded exactly as we have trained and as NORAD is designed to operate. We are now focused on supporting efforts led by the RCMP, Green Police to locate the objects taken down over Yukon and Lake Huron, and Canadian Forces personnel and air assets from across Canada are working alongside RCMP and Coast Guard Canada and U.S. partners. Yukon efforts to locate and recover what we can now characterize as suspected balloon are particularly challenging in the remote mountainous area with deep snow, risk of avalanche, and harsh weather conditions. This time we will take time, and I am proud of the important work our members are doing to support the recovery and efforts to learn more about these objects and their origin. So that was basically a response about not being able to find and retrieve the object that had crashed down. Then there's more information from Anita Anand. Today, a high-altitude object was detected in U.S. airspace over Lake Huron. NORAD launched Canadian and U.S. aircraft to investigate, and the object was taken down in the U.S. airspace by U.S. aircraft. We unequivocally support this action. We will continue to work with the U.S. NORAD to protect North America. And then we have some audio here from that particular event. So if you guys haven't heard this audio yet, you can check this out. Let me just put that in the air in the comments. Nothing else, no other comments. Yeah. And I'll read the transcript. All right, got it. Is Radio 1, do you have an update on Gasland? 01 in terms of what else or 2 he's going to be at, and that's 12454. 124 points to the cap and try to coordinate with us and are now with 39 tomorrow, northwest. Right now, though we were in, like the theme was going to be the hardest spot on, I almost kind of want to go to a point and then do like a head-on okay. Obviously, these guys aren't speaking proper English. 0 because now the winds are 69 knots, back again. No, actually, I shouldn't say that. I am reading this fast. There is some time in between calls. It looks like something. There's some kind of object that's suspended in here. It's hard to tell. It's pretty small. I cannot see it outside my eyes. Right to the north, who wants to get down at 3 miles with my knife with the phone. So I got a good crack, but I can't see it. Sounds like number 2 picked up visually about 1,000 feet. Looks like that black hawk worked a little better as well. It's probably hawk. Targeting pod, you can see something. I can't tell if it's metallic or one. There's I can see like lines coming down below, but I can't see anything. One looking outside is kind of like a blackness. I'm going to call it like the container. I can't really tell though what the shape is visually. At least I think it's a visual right around 2,000 extra feet away. Man still looking to be stationed at 2017-30 copies or no risks. And then I'm just going to kind of skip through here because it's like a 10-minute video, but you kind of get the point. So there's some, you want to listen to that, and it'll make sense better when you can hear them instead of me reading it faster. There is, let me see if I got time here. If you go to the About section, I do have a founder page. If you guys are interested in more about me and who I've done, who supports my work, it's all there. But there's also, I keep track of when I'm in the media. So in February 2017, 2024, that case that we're talking about is this Chinese balloon. Chinese spy balloon, I guess, reconnaissance balloon is what they're calling it. This is some sort of satellite that's being carried by these balloons. And that's what this object was. So this report here had come out. Here's the declassified document that I received. And then that was posted by the CTV News through Daniel Otis as well. So he assisted me on that. And of course, on that, there's an episode 2 where they named me, and that's pretty cool. It's not a UFO, but I was able to identify that particular object as a Canadian Air Force, as the Chinese reconnaissance balloon. Not every, and of course the military is quite happy with that because they didn't say UFOs, but the evidence was released and we published it as so. I wish they could give me as much information as they have in the past on these things, but things are changing. Okay, so where are we now? Do we have time to look at another one? I don't know. We got 16 minutes left. Danny Whitson, I see a like from you if you're still here. Bruce Allen, Julie Evans, again, Nicole Fox and Arnold Lecoq, if you're still here. Listening, say hello, ask me some questions. I like talking to people. It's so hard not having my doing the interviews like I did on Beyond the Tinfoil Hat. Really, I don't have time to prepare work for you guys. So I need you guys to tell me what you want me to talk about. All right, beings observed, government done, So where are we now? Bases and stations shouldn't be there, so that should be off. There we go. Just gonna zoom out here. Okay, so we're still in aerial activity, I believe. Let me see, just see what else is close by in that area. We're still in Ontario. So you can also look, so okay, we know that NORAD is here, okay? This is where the proximity is nice. We've got all this beings observed aerial activity. So if you wanted to eliminate beings observed and just focus on aerial activity, then, we have these 3 events that are well within close proximity. Well within close proximity, but that doesn't mean that they're that this is the causation of this correlation. If that makes any sense. Okay, I'm starting to get a pattern and a plot in terms of like certain things. Now you have military bases around here, you have the border around here, so there are a lot of. Can I put the labels on? Yes. So you do have a lot of significant reasons as to why this might be a certain area. So you got American airspace over here, Michigan, and then here's the border. That's why we had that thing, because it crossed. And if it's a balloon, well, you can't stop it unless you shoot it down. Lisa said, did you see my interview with Danny Whitson? I have not seen the complete interview. I started watching it at the beginning, but that's on my list of going back to, Lisa. Wanted to make sure everything was good, everyone was happy. The reason why I didn't continue to watch it is because I have a kid. So I do recall that. I had to do some fatherly stuff, unfortunately, but you are on my replay list. I've been told that it's been a phenomenal episode and everybody likes it. Ratings are good, from that perspective. But I unfortunately, I'm being honest with you, I wasn't able to watch the whole thing. I did watch some of it, and I think I was in the chat there too. Thank you, Lisa, for that assist and giving me something to talk about. So now I guess if we go south a bit more, we got some aerial activity here. Let me see. This might be next week's episode. We can talk about these 3. And then in Mississauga, we have some there as well, heading south in Ontario. Beings observed. Any other beings observed? Yeah, we got one down here as well. All right. Let me see. We're still in aerial activity. I don't want to go too far away. Being a dad is a busy job. Yes, it is. Being a dad and a husband and a private investigator and a security, and managing a team, as well as being the top dog in Canadian UFO disclosure in terms of receiving documents right now. I don't think Grant Cameron has asked for a document in a long time. Neither has Chris Stiles. So I think I'm the guy who's doing it, and then they're the guy that's talking about it. I wish we all could work together, but they're all busy too. But yes, life is busy. So busy. But I'm doing this podcast because I was asked. I am having a hard time with this podcast because I need people. Maybe I might bring some interviews in. I don't know. I've asked Danny to check out my show, which I hope he's still listening, to give me some feedback and how I can make this better. I don't have time to do research. I have to do this stuff off the cuff. But I am just talking about work I've already done while I'm actively throughout the week focusing on other things. Let me see if I can elaborate more on that. And then I'll save these other cases for next week. What can I talk more about? I'll talk about EA again, I think, for those, because this is the next big thing that we're going to be getting into. Experiencers Anonymous. Interview sounds good. Yes, Lisa, I know. Thank you. If I do, I kind of want to bring in more experts in terms of this, like a science field, instead of experiencers for this one, to actually talk about evidence and issues that we have. This video here for Experiencers Anonymous, if you guys want to check it out, we're going to be advertising it shortly through Tessa. Once we get all the logistics done, you'll have to sign up for it. I think the first 10 are going to get in. So if you are interested, send an email, and we'll make sure you get that email for the first group once we launch this project again. So Experiencers Anonymous is, for those who don't know, and is new. So what's your name again? Sorry, I'll scroll back up here. Akudo, since you're still here and you're new. Experiencers Anonymous is a free experiencer resource offering a virtual meeting space as a platform for experiencers to gather and discuss their occurrences, emotions, thoughts, and theories in a safe space and peers and like-minded people supporting each other. What's making this program different this time, because we've had a few facilitators, is we now have a psychotherapist. And the psychotherapist will be able to gauge whether or not, some of these events are linked to some existing mental illnesses, but still be able to treat still be able to assist in letting us know, and for the investigative side of things, whether or not the potential of mental illnesses affects the credibility of the evidence. And what I want from that is not to explain it away. It's just have a professional opinion who believes in spiritual, who believes in extraterrestrial, who believes in the possibility, who needs to also be very careful with their where they're going and their scope of practice, to at least tell me when someone is out to lunch and when somebody has anxiety or depression. There are some traumas that are behind from these events, and it doesn't appear to be associated with anything else. It's kind of like a professional opinion. And it is a professional opinion. And regardless of where we end up on that, you as the experiencer will still get access to the reports. We will not tell you our judgment. We will not tell you all these things. It's just important for me to know in what areas I need to collect the best evidence for to have these answers. We can't ignore the fact that mental illness is part of this. But there are people who have these experiences, especially with beings observed, that are left with residual evidence of the mental kind. You're left with memories. You're left with pain. You're left with trauma. You're left with not being believed. So having an actual psychotherapist on board will be able to give us more quality work to assist you experiencers. And hopefully help regulate these emotions to give me better information before you make your first report. Okay. First of its kind, I would say. Everybody's trying to do it. I don't believe anybody else has any clinical therapists on their support team as of yet. If they do, then great. They're doing the same thing. That's awesome. We're not trying to reinvent the wheel. We're just trying to fill some holes here and support as much people as possible. So if you remember our episode with the research and investigation tools, how this list grows, because I continuously do investigations and I need to find certain programs that help me quick while I'm in the field. I've been keeping track of things that are for free, so that way I can add them for quick references for other investigators and such. The experiencer one has one as well, but it's not so beefy. It's only got a few things. With this psychotherapist helping us with Experiencers Anonymous, she will be able to come up with some other alternative resources that we can put on here, but it depends on what's divulged in group and what information she's willing to share. So it's a partnership, of course, with information. So Susan has been practicing has been a practicing psychotherapist for the better part of 30 years. She specializes in working with individuals seeking to better understand themselves and foster deeper connections in their relationships. Many people find themselves excelling in certain areas of life while still feeling alone, discontent, and disconnected. Susan focuses on people's needs and choices, respecting each person's life stories and desire for change. She believes every individual is capable of reaching their full potential and living a healthy and fulfilling life. So this is good. This is very good for experiencers because, and investigators, we need this. We need a fact checker on the mental health side. And just because you have a mental illness or a learning difference or whatever you want to call it, and there's got to be a positive way of saying it, it does not mean that we don't believe you. I just need to understand you as an experiencer so we can talk to you in such a way that makes sense, so that way you do not continue to feel regret, continue to feel unvalidated because you think that this mental situation is going to hinder you in any way if you like to become public. And if we can rule that out with an expert, then I can further support that, yes, when the critics come up and say, yeah, this person is mentally ill, this person is this and that, blah, 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 all the skeptics and things like that, it's another tool that we can use to justify that, yes, a mental illness may exist, but it's not relevant to the case. And a lot of times that's the case. But because of the way social media is, because a lot of the way people judge, it's very easy for a skeptic to be like, oh, don't believe this person is mentally ill. Well, I'm mentally ill. I'm diagnosed with PTSD, anxiety, depression, and all this other stuff, blah, blah, blah. Anger. We've talked about that many times. I'm trying my best not to lose it over a mouse. Those are things that I'm dealing with. But is that relevant to the work that I'm doing? You still like the work. I still publish books. I still put information out there. My mental illness, might hinder me from doing certain things as often as I would like to do, especially with anxiety, especially with depression. There's a lot. It's really hard for me to do the work that I do, and it creates challenges. But when I do the work, when I actually do the work, I start to see that these challenges aren't me and all these other things. And that's what we're trying to do too, is try to encourage more people to be comfortable and things like that. But again, working close with the psychotherapist, she doesn't necessarily call the shots, but I do trust her in a sense to reveal whatever she needs to reveal. Same thing. If you say anything that's going to be harmful, that we need to call the police, we're going to do all those things. We need to protect your life above everything as well. It's the same thing if I do regression hypnotherapist and you think you've been, I don't know if I can say this on radio, think you've been, touched in an inappropriate way by an extraterrestrial. And it turns out that extraterrestrial is actually a family member, much like I have the obligation to report this as a crime. It's a similar way with this. So, it's a very sensitive and delicate topic. But we do understand that, and we're trying to deal with that privately, and then that way we can write more materials in the long run. And of course, as usual, it's the end of the show and my mouse is being difficult again. I'm buying a new mouse. I don't care what anybody says. I'm buying a new mouse. I gotta get this. So can I get to my thing with Bobber? Is it still here? Yes. All right. So remember, tomorrow night is Beyond the Tinfoil Hat with Danny Whitson, starting at 6 p.m. Eastern Time, 3 p.m. Pacific. Okay, subscribe, wherever you get your podcast. Head over to Patreon, support me, support the show, support Tessa, support everything else. It is free for you, but we're collecting this money to keep it free for everyone. So anybody, if you want to throw whatever it is at us, all that is beneficial. We appreciate that. And I'm going to give you some behind-the-scenes stuff, some extra stuff for that consideration, okay? Also make a report if you can. And I'm at my time. So thank you for tuning in for this episode of The Skeptical Sleuth. We're broadcasting live on the United Public Radio Network, the UFO Paranormal Radio Network, 105.3 FM on the Gulf Coast, and 107.7 FM in New Orleans. We're also broadcasting live on social media. And this show was brought to you by the Experiential Support Association. Remember that one lie is enough to question all truths. Thanks for watching. Keep your eyes in the sky. And as always, heed the world.
If you want to really, really find out about Ryan, ask him about all his work and UFOs in Ontario.
Ryan is one of Canada's leading new UFO investigators. He conducts and oversees UFO investigations on a constant basis. She's compiled a tremendous amount of data regarding UFOs in Canada.
I have used his research extensively. He's much more than a one-dimensional character. He's an authority on UFOs and investigating them, Meg.
Wow!
Really goes over how UFO investigations are done and what are some of the mistakes that people make when they submit evidence. For starters, don't edit your videos or photos before you send them.
He would come out with an annual report on not only the number of sightings, but how many were unexplained, unknown, or just, nothing could be said. What caused
If you
it.
want to hear more follow-up conversation between Ryan and myself, you can go to richardollandmembers.com, where we have a candid conversation on ufology, the paranormal, and more. And remember, while we learn and grow and search for the truth, let's be good to each other.